Hi YouTube and welcome to my channel. My name is Patrick. It's no secret that I'm a little bit of an Apple fanboy, but I'm going to cut myself off from Apple for the next 30 days. In fact, I'm cutting myself off from Apple, Google, and Microsoft for a month. And this is because I want to get away from big tech companies. I want to find out if I can truly have technological sovereignty and control my whole ecosystem. So today we're going to talk about my strategy going into this, what tools I'm going to use, and yeah, with all of that being said, let's dig right in. Google, Microsoft, and Apple. Here's the thing, these three companies are not looking out for your best interests. They're trying to generate shareholder value. The products they make are not for you. The products they make are to deliver value to shareholders. Even Apple, which touts privacy as one of their core tenets, if you run a man-in-the-middle proxy on a Mac, you would be shocked at how much telemetry and data Apple is sending back to themselves. It's really not a private system. So in order to replace Apple, Google, and Microsoft, we need a trio of devices that will act as our own ecosystem. We'll need a phone, a laptop, and a server, because remember, we're replacing cloud services too. So let's talk about the phone. So I have purchased for about $60 a Pixel 4, and what I've done with it is I've unlocked the bootloader, I flashed a custom recovery, and then I flashed Lineage OS 22. This is based on Android 15 and it has the latest December security patches, and it's essentially Android but without Google. What most people do is they'll install Lineage OS and then they'll install the Google apps on top of it. However, I've taken a different approach here because obviously I don't want Google anything on this phone, and so I've just flashed raw Lineage OS to it, no Google apps. Now this comes with a few hurdles. First of all, there's no Play Store, meaning that I can't get my apps from the Android App Store. There is an alternative that I can use, it's called F-Droid, and it's a repository of mostly free and open source applications for Android, and so that's where I'll be getting most of my apps. Obviously there's no Google apps, so we're missing Google Maps and Gmail, all of that kind of stuff. So we'll need to get replacements from F-Droid. However, I've already done some legwork here and we'll dive in more detail into this in a future video, and I've been pretty successful in replacing everything I need. Here's something funny about this. So this phone without Google apps lasts on a battery charge for about 2 days, but this phone with Google apps lasts on a charge for about 1 day. So that's how much juice Google apps are sucking from your Android device. Now, there is another hurdle here. My eSIM. I purchased a Mint Mobile plan for this phone, for this challenge, and I was like, okay, I'll just use the eSIM, right? However, it turns out that adding an eSIM relies on Google Play services, and so what I've done is I've ordered a physical SIM from them, and as soon as it gets here I'll put it in the phone, and that's when the challenge will begin. Another cool benefit of this is that I have root access on my phone. Yes, I rooted it as well. This is really cool because it means that I have full control, full access to my device. Now, this is a security issue, because now if somebody manages to execute code on my phone, they could potentially elevate to root privileges. However, given the fact that I'm only going to be installing applications from F-Droid, I think the risk of a rogue application is relatively low. Okay, so let's talk about the laptop. So I've got a ThinkPad E15. Ew, I know, it's an E series. It was cheap. It's got 16 gigs of RAM, 10th gen i5, and about 500 gigs of solid-state storage. Not the fastest computer in the world, it is a downgrade from my Mac, however, it will be perfectly cromulent. And on this laptop, obviously I'm not using Windows, so I've installed Fedora Kinoite. Kinoite is really cool. It's an immutable Fedora distribution that is based on KDE. The thing that makes it immutable is the fact that you cannot break it. It has a read-only root file system, and when you apply updates, it copies the root file system, applies the updates to the copy, and then when you reboot, it boots into the new version, meaning that if something goes wrong and it breaks on your computer, you can roll back to the old version without losing any work. So really handy. And with the root file system being read-only, it saves me from myself. Because my thing with Linux is that I always tinker with it too much and end up breaking it. Then I get to spend hours fixing it, which has some benefit, don't get me wrong, it's taught me a lot about Linux and computers in general. But for this challenge where I'm just trying to get productivity work done, I want something that isn't built for tinkering. The reason I picked KDE over GNOME is the fact that the UX is a little more flexible than what's offered on GNOME. I like GNOME, it's my favorite desktop environment. However, for this challenge I wanted to give KDE a shot, because I've never really given KDE a fair shot at things. Okay, and that brings us to cloud services. So this is going to be a whole entire video on its own. It's going to come out in the next couple weeks. So if you want to find out how I'm self-hosting all of my services, consider subscribing so that you don't miss that video when it comes out. I've got a great sponsor lined up for it, and it's going to be a really cool one. Essentially what we're doing is we're taking all of the cloud services that I use provided by Apple, Google, and Microsoft, and I'm replacing them with my own self-hosted versions. This has gone really well so far. I've managed to set up a system that covers all of my needs, and it's got some really cool stuff. So again, if you don't want to miss the dedicated video going over this system, then definitely subscribe. And when I say I'm self-hosting everything, I mean everything. We're talking storage, ad blocking, DNS, home automation, streaming, like we're talking about all of it. And so I'm really excited to bring that video to you. And so that brings us to the end of the video. As soon as my SIM card arrives, I will begin the challenge, and I'm excited to let you know how it goes. If you don't want to miss future videos in this series, make sure you subscribe. If you liked the video, like the video, and I'll catch you in the next one.